I was in the third grade, I went to my teacher and started to cry. Again and again, this would happen. You guys are all probably wondering why I was crying. I did too. My ears were always hurting, so my mom decided to take me to the ear doctor. The doctor said that the artificial tubes had been in my ears too long and needed to be removed. After he removed the tubes, he looked into my ears and told me everything was fine, but the crying and pain still continued. After several months, I returned to this doctor, and he said that he did not tell me that the tubes perforated both of my eardrums because he thought they would just heal. Looking back, I realized that the issue I was facing was not that my ears were hurting, but that both the doctor and my mom and I were all failing to communicate. I decided to read the book Vital Conversations by Dr. Dennis Rosen, a book about communication between doctors and patients. From reading this book, I learned that 95% of adults choose doctors based on communication. This issue has always planted a seed in my brain. How should patients and doctors communicate with each other? One of the best ways for a patient to be present for his or her doctor is to be honest. Last year, when I noticed my hearing started to decline, I also noticed that I was hearing constant ringing that no one else appeared to be hearing. I went to a new doctor and expressed to him my symptoms and concerns. He then recommended that I take a hearing test. When I took the hearing test, the doctor running the test asked me questions about how often I experienced the ringing, how I felt with the ringing in my ears, and how often it interfered with my communication. I was able to answer those questions with honesty. I believe when a patient is able to communicate with his or her doctor honestly, a relationship is formed. When a relationship between a patient and doctor is formed, trust is established. This trust then leads to better medical treatment. One way doctors can build trust with their patients is to start getting to know them personally. When doctors take time to ask patients about what is going on in their life, it can put the patient at ease. An example of this is a relationship I have formed with my asthma doctor. Whenever I go to my asthma doctor, he always asks me, "How are your pets?" or if I've made any exciting desserts. Him asking these questions is important because it shows that he cares for his patients not just physically, but emotionally too. As a result, trust is formed between a doctor and patient. Once trust is formed, patients are able to open up to doctors. When I was experiencing a change in my hearing, I also started to experience vertigo. I once again went to the ear doctor and told him about my symptoms. He sent me to go get an inner ear and brain MRI. A few days later, the MRI came back with an abnormality. My ear doctor, within 24 hours, was able to set me up with a specialist. Before the appointment with the specialist, I was able to talk to my ear doctor. And he told me that treatment was not required, and what appeared on my MRI did not require any treatment most of the time. My ear doctor setting up an appointment with a specialist and taking the time to talk to me and my mom prior to the official doctor appointment demonstrated effective communication. He took time explaining what was going on and why it was important. Although I have given everyone here information on what enhances good communication, There is still one more question I would like to answer. What prevents good communication? Many physicians at the end of an appointment have patients ask questions. When a patient is given an opportunity to ask questions about concerns or to clarify instruction, the doctor can specifically answer that question. One issue is that only 25% of physicians have patients ask questions, and 30% of patients do not receive specific instructions when treating ongoing symptoms. If 25% of physicians do not give patients the opportunity to ask questions, then those doctors are not using the appointment time effectively. This could lead to unnecessary medical treatment or a misdiagnosis. In addition to doctors not using time effectively, many experience physician burnout. Physician burnout occurs when a physician is overworked and has an uneven energy balance between work and personal life. Physician burnout is an issue because when a physician experiences this, they will become less patient, less empathetic, and miss signs of illnesses. According to Dr. Drummond in medical school, physicians are taught to work through their physical and emotional needs. This is an issue because doctors then carry out this routine into their professional lives. Physician burnout is like a bank account. This means if a doctor puts more energy into his or her work life, it creates a positive balance in that part of their life, but would create a negative balance in their family life. In 2013, about 39% of physicians experienced burnout, while in 2015, 46% of physicians experienced burnout. Seeing these numbers increase is so scary and needs to be reduced to have a healthy profession. This is even more true now during the COVID-19 pandemic. There are three tips I would like to recommend to help cope with the physician burnout. 1. Spend time outdoors doing activities like hiking, surfing, walking a dog, or riding your bike into town. 2. Spend time with family and friends at home, at a park, or at a coffee shop. And 3. Just be intact with your emotions. Think about what makes you happy or frustrated to bring self-awareness. Communication has become key during the COVID-19 pandemic, since patients now have to teleconference their doctors and explain to them what is going on, and doctors now have to listen to their patients even more closely because physical contact is significantly reduced. These communication techniques will have to continue going forward, which will improve doctor-patient relationships. Due to my experience as a patient, I have realized how important communication is, and I now have an interest in becoming a doctor. Thank you, everyone.